Hello, it's Krista here with you again today, and just sitting out here in this beautiful afternoon, looking at meadows and things while I'm at work. Okay, so today I'm still kind of focusing on narcissism as a subject. I've been listening to some Ross Rosenberg this morning, among some other tapes, and I learned so much, and I would just love to get some of his seminar videos, although they're like $100 a piece. 5-hour seminar videos each. I'm sure it would be awesome. The curing the codependency and the stages and the steps to take, and even what to expect out of the narcissist at different stages of the relationship. Kind of what I see for myself going on in my own life right now is still the process of observe and not absorb that I still continue to learn and study it in DBT. And then, of course, Ross has some good information on that as well. When I'm talking about observe, not absorb, what it explains is that when you are in the stage where the narcissist, you try to, okay, maybe you've moved on from the narcissist, you've done some no contact, you've broken up with this person, or you're just still just trying to get away from them, or living with that person. And when this narcissist, or cluster B personality comes at you with, hey, baby, I know we're apart now, but can I come back over because I still have your toothbrush? And he gets into your home again, and as he slips you your toothbrush, he's talking at the same time and trying to get you to interact with him, and using manipulative strategies such as gaslighting, a lot of provoking to get you to fight with them, and anger and upset you by maybe he goes back into devaluing you and just saying hurtful things to get you all wound up again and upset. This is when the observe and not absorb technique does come into play that we can use. Often I find meditation really compatible for this one, or again, mindfulness practices, where a lot of times during this process we need to take more boundaries, such as if they do have our toothbrush and they're living away from us, to say maybe send it in the mail, or instead of having him or her come over and start that hoovering kind of talk with you again, because once they have you angry, it's easy for them to slide in again and take control. And once they're in there again, they might come back at us with telling us, that we have no reason to be upset, or they're what we need all over again because of this or that reason. And they can come and hoover you back that way. But mainly I'm talking today about observe, not absorb, where they can really set us on edge and create CPTSD or PTSD symptoms all over again. They can really trigger us and set us off. I know for me it's a little bit harder because I was diagnosed with like a mild form of BPD, and it doesn't take much. Although in the past it was a lot easier to trigger me um, and upset me. But I tell you, practicing a lot of mindfulness and meditation where you learn to breathe, deep breathe, and relax and calm down, whether you need to take a break from the conversation or the person, excuse yourself, make up an excuse like you have to go, you don't have time to talk to them at the moment, um, or whatever you have to do to break away from this kind of abuse. Um, and step away and maybe just take a moment and go park somewhere or look up in the sky and just enjoy the beauty around you. Look at the flowers, do some deep breathing exercises, brush your hair, go take a shower, maybe go talk to a friend that isn't, that is on your side. Um, do a prayer, just get away. Whatever you have to do is probably one of the best things that you can do when you are in a situation like that. Whether maybe you just need, if you're living with that person, step out for a while or excuse yourself that need to go in the other room and do some paperwork or something, whatever it is, go play with your kid outside. Whatever it is that you can get away from these people. And even as you're calming yourself at these states, or especially learning meditative practices where you can close your eyes and take yourself to the ocean or somewhere where you keep practicing it, and it gets easier and easier and easier for your body to start calming down, where finally we can be more at the point where when we are faced with these people, whether it's in a long grocery line, whether it's at the dentist, the doctor, or the narc, whoever you're dealing with, these difficult people, and they try to provoke you and put you back into these where they want a reaction from you, because that's when you lose your power and they gain more control over whatever it is, over you especially. And you don't want to, you don't want to back down. You want to stay strong. So how we do that is, even if we are face to face with this person and we can't get away, or maybe we learn to get to the point where they start that gaslighting again, or whatever it is, and they're provoking you and you can feel yourself getting upset, to remember to just close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, think of something that you love, or create things around you that you can do, like creative things, like maybe make a cake, go clean or something, and get yourself to calm down and then when you're facing these people, to instead of reacting right away with being upset or becoming afraid or whatever it is, losing it, crying, to observe it instead. Observe what they're saying, but do not go into that conversation with them or that argument. Just basically, you can really stop that conversation by maybe changing it to a different topic, or just changing it off, or instead, when they say something mean, say, okay, I see, put on maybe a gray rock poker face, And instead of them where they're expecting you to get angry or whatever, do that facial expression, go into a gray rock like state, and be expressionless, and let them say what they say, but don't let it get into your soul and your being. Okay, so instead of absorbing it and letting it go to our hearts or our emotional feelers, I know that it does take practice and can be very hard at first. But the more that we utilize these tools that we can practice every day, and even if you have to start it in simpler situations, it can be practiced and utilized. So that's a great one. I love Ross Rosenberg's observe, not absorb technique, and also that is practiced in DBT. um, So, it goes back to that mindfulness, just finding a place within ourselves, or finding a meditation that you can use, and start practicing how to use calming skills in your life where it might be hard at first, and you might hear a lot of clutter in your mind when you do stop and practice stillness. If you've ever noticed or practiced meditation or mindfulness where you're simply just eating that apple one piece at a time, and you're not running or working with an apple in your mouth, but you're simply just sitting there and enjoying every morsel and every bite one at a time, um, you know, or wherever you can practice that stillness at. That's why I love going out in nature. And it is just so quiet, and everything is still. You know, everything is still. I mean, in this day and age, if you notice where you're going out into the world, and everybody's busily driving, um, grocery shopping, talking to one another in line. You can practice that stillness anywhere. I know with my painting, I really love to stop, and or drawing, and just where we can practice that stillness, that slower pace in life, whether people like it or not, because people do not practice stillness yet. I think that's a really important element that we're missing, because people just want to go, go, go. And that's where we stop taking the time for ourselves. We stop having self awareness. And that's really what mindfulness and meditation can take us back to, is ourselves. Especially as codependent people pleasers, we're always trying to help other people or be somebody else's anything and everything, and do things. But when it comes down to it, it is such a throttling effort to get things done and get more than big things accomplished in one day, or whatever it is, where you're constantly running after that kid or that certain lifestyle or whatever it is. To simply just take breaks during our day and every day, whether big or small. And I know one for me used to be smoking cigarettes, and it was kind of a really bad habit, but it is kind of a way that I think a lot of us do to get into calmer states, whether it's drugs. For me, it was smoking on that cigarette, and how that nicotine relaxed me, because my anxiety all my life had been on such a high level. And for my health, it would help me relax my muscles. But of course, later on, it became hard to breathe because your lungs are so messed up after years of smoking. And that's a really hard one to stop as well. Smoking can be as addictive as heroin. And it finally took me to the point where I had to get black mold sickness and become allergic to the smoke for me to quit. And it was a blessing and a curse. And but I know that with recovery skills that we can learn and practice, things um, can not be so hard to break from. Like I'm talking about these codependent relationships we can get into where we are depending on everybody else for what they think of us. What that social organization thinks of us, what we dress like, how we act, and we become not ourselves, but just put on this play of act for others, and pretty soon we get conned into believing that we are that person, but we're just still not comfortable or happy, and it's exhausting, you know. Um, People pleasing. It's just when you can finally, I know one good thing to practice is telling the truth, being honest, becoming honest with yourself and your own thoughts and beliefs and desires. Um, Not somebody else's thoughts or opinions, or, because when you start being honest with yourself, and when you can start being honest with other people on a daily basis about, just start being honest with everything that comes out of your mouth. Um, don't lie, don't say false things. And that was a big, huge one for me to learn when I started being honest with myself and others. That narcissist didn't stay around much longer after I started this exercise, honestly. That's kind of when, that split started to begin between, that toxic relationship. I know that it can be very hard, but it can also make you feel really excellent when you start practicing this, and you start getting really good feelings when you start beating and overcoming that need for control and that false need for control, and to start beating that false ego that we have and actually become ourselves, and we start being honest with what we truly need and want in this life, and what we really don't want, and what we dislike, and it becomes easier, and we do become stronger. So thanks for listening today, and have a great one.